think back about sickle cell, I have a cousin that had sickle cell. And I remember growing up and all we were told was that, Christopher, you better be hydrated and you drank water. There was nothing out there really telling us what sickle cell was about. Hey TAJ family, we are live. Happy New Year again. We're excited to come today to talk about another amazing book with another amazing author. We're excited about it. Braver Than I May Know. We're waiting for the author to come on. Hoping we have no technical difficulties. I've been under the weather, fighting the flu. Me and my baby, we've been fighting the flu. But we're excited to log on and speak to our author. This is an amazing book. We want to talk to her about her journey. Join us on our TAJ subscription box where we'll talk about her Braver Than I May Know book. I see my friend Tanisha. Hey, Tanisha. Hey, girl. So we're just waiting for the author to join. Thanks, everyone. Happy Friday. Ain't we glad that it's Friday and it's the weekend? Put in the chat what plans you have for this weekend. What's going on? What's happening in New York? We're from New York. What's happening where you are at? Put what plans you're having and what you're up to this weekend. Me, I'm still fighting the flu. I'm still trying to get 100%. Here is Grace. Hi, Grace.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I have the flu. I'm sick.
And you're still on live? Okay, I see you.
Listen, New Year ambition. We're pushing through everything. We are not allowing the flu to stop no flow. Okay?
I feel you.
We ain't allowing it to stop us. I was like, devil, you a liar. We going on live. We're going to have our cough drop in our mouth, but we're going to go on this live.
That's all right.
We ain't no monkey ain't stopping no show. That song they keep on saying no monkey. No, not even the flu is going to stop us from having this interview.
Come on with
I thank you so much. Introduce yourself to our TAJ family.
Yeah, so my name is Grace Holloman. I am a woman with many talents.
Yes.
One of them being the author of Braver Than I May Know, the Braver Than I May Know series that I am writing about children that have disabilities and or conditions and the things that they go through on a daily basis. I'm also an Army veteran. I do ADA compliancy work. I'm a doctoral student. Busy, but I'm blessed. So yeah, I'm here.
You are doing listen, because I was like, oh my gosh, she does so much. What? She's a veteran.
Yeah.
A doula. Yeah. I'm like, wow. What is it you don't do?
Sleep, baby? I don't know.
Sleep is important, love. Sleep is important because then, as I tell my kids, take your vitamins and get your sleep. But I wasn't getting my vitamins and I wasn't getting my sleep. That's why I got sick. So sleep is essential, especially for us.
It is.
I am just so excited to have you here and for you to just share your journey.
Yes.
You were in our September subscription box and, we've been trying to do this for a while now.
I know.
We've tried so long to set this up for us to have this interview. And I said, God, her story needs to be heard. There are parents out there that need to hear her story, need to hear about this wonderful book, especially about sickle cell, because when I think back about sickle cell, I have a cousin that had sickle cell. And I remember growing up and all we were told was that, Christopher, you better be hydrated and you drank water. There was nothing out there really telling us what sickle cell was about.
Yeah.
I didn't know what sickle cell was about. I really didn't understand it. I know that Chris was sick and he was having joint pains. So could you tell our audience what sickle cell is about?
Yeah, so sickle cell is an inherited blood disorder where there are sickled shaped cells. So they're kind of like banana shaped cells and they do not live very long. and they easily get clumped together, and so that causes blood clots, sickle cell crisis, pains all over your body. So it's just like having a non-functioning spleen. So your spleen help fights infections, and your spleen is not functioning when you have sickle cell. So you're more prone to get sick, and you have to go in and they have to run all these tests to make sure that there isn't an infection and you don't need a blood transfusion. So it can be a lot, but it is a blood disorder. Okay. Yeah.
So why now? Why write a book about all of these wonderful disability and genetic condition? Why did you decide to write a book about it?
You know, it's interesting because being in the military, you get tested for a lot of things, and I had no idea that I had the sickle cell trait. I knew that my husband had the trait. We understood that. We're like, okay, you have the trait. I don't have anything. It's fine. Have kids. But I didn't know. I didn't know until I was 20 weeks pregnant with my oldest that I even had the sickle cell trait. Got some bad doctor advice. They wanted me to terminate my pregnancy. I'm like, no way. Jesus gave me this baby. Jesus gave us this baby. We're keeping our child. Moved on to midwife doula. So that's how that all happened, right? And so, you know, she was born in the hospital a lot, and, you know, new parents. We're in our 20s trying to figure it out. And I've always been a writer. I've been writing ever since I was little, so that part comes pretty easily to me. And I had her, and then we kind of start going to the pandemic. Fast forward a couple of years, we're going into the pandemic. I just had another baby who happened to not have the trait nor the disease. And I was writing, and I was like, I don't know what to do with this. I'm just writing. My husband's like, just put it out. I was like, are you sure? He's like, yeah, we're just going to self-publish. I was like, okay. And he just would not let up. I was like, all right, we're doing this. It's like, you're right, because I can't find all the stories that I'm looking for. I mean, every kid, every single kid, no matter what they have, should be able to see themselves in a book. There's no way that we're living in 2024 now that kids should not be able to see themselves in a book. So I'm like, we got to do this. We got to get the story out there. I know there are other authors out here that feel the same way, other parents. So I'm like, let's just do this. And my husband didn't let up, and we did it. We did it. We published the book.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
He pushed you. He wanted you to
Yeah.
thrive, and you had a story to tell,
Yes.
which is so impactful on parents.
Mm-hmm.
Because oftentimes we're looking for resources.
Yes. Yeah.
Oftentimes the resource is not there. You know,
Yes.
when I think about these books and inclusion and all this inclusion now, I'm like, my God, 16 years ago when my son had his diagnosis for ASD, there was not a lot of resources out there. There was not a lot of representation that there was a little chocolate boy or something on there that can give me information about ASD. And here you are, you decided to cover, in your book, you said it's a community.
Yeah.
A community of inclusion.
Definitely.
You know, how did you choose what to put in your book? Which genetic disorder? And I'm there looking at it, I'm like, how did she make a decision on what to really put in this book? Because there's so much out there. You know, I'm like, okay, I'm looking at it. I'm like, okay, how do you make that decision? How do you
I mean,
decide?
there are a lot.
There's a lot.
And there are some that I wrote about that aren't even in that book. But I'm just like, I have to start somewhere. Someone somewhere is looking for a book that has definitions or that explains stuff. Someone's looking for something, so I just have to go with it, and I have to put it out there. I was like, I'm going to write a series. I was like, it'll come. I have to get it out there so people know that there's a resource for you no matter what you're going through, no matter if your baby was just born, no matter if your diagnosis was a few years later. There's something out there for you. Someone else is going through something similar, and we need to be a community. We have to stick together. Like, this is what we have. We have each other. That's all we have.
Listen, this came at the right time. Okay? It came at the right time because we're finally talking about acceptance and inclusion.
Yes.
You know, we're finally, 2024, we're finally out there talking about this. It's so needed. You know, it's oftentimes representation is missing.
Yes.
Missing from our class or missing from our books.
Yeah.
Missing from everything. And to see yourself in a book, you know, our September box, as I said, our September subscription box, we did sickle cell awareness, and we were able to donate to I think it's 70,
Oh my
72
goodness.
boxes
Yes. It's
to
been
the
great.
hospital,
Yes.
promoting sickle cell awareness,
Mm-hmm.
speaking on it,
Mm-hmm.
talking on it. And we have so many parents that come up to us, even though it's past September,
Right.
they want to know how they can donate, how can they
Mm-hmm.
be a part of it. I know that they have different blood
Yes.
drives.
Yes.
There's a lot of different things going on now. There's a lot of different researches, stem cell research, a lot of different things
It
now
is.
that
It
is going on.
is.
And because we have this community, as you're talking about, we can able to talk about it, give each other resources. Well, I know about this. Do you know about this? And
Exactly.
it's so vital,
It is.
as we as a culture, that we do speak on it. We speak on things, because I've always say with autism, I felt like it was taboo to talk about it. No one talked about it. I didn't know
Mm-hmm.
anything about it. You see a child in a wheelchair and you're like, okay, what is going
Right.
on? No one talks about it.
Right.
And it's so great that we're able to talk about it
Mm-hmm.
now. We're able to just bring about information, and we're able to
Yes.
share,
Mm-hmm.
because I was really tired of every time you would hear, oh, we're five more or six more or five more or six
Mm-hmm.
more times not to be tested timely. We're not getting tested timely. We're not getting services timely.
Mm-hmm.
We're not getting early intervention timely. We
Yeah.
don't know about our disorder. Now, when you talked about the sickle cell trait, I had no idea that my husband has a sickle cell trait.
See, and
None.
now in today's society, we know that there are more interracial couples, right? So that means different races are now getting sickle
Mm-hmm.
cell. So everyone needs to be tested. A lot of people think that it's just for the brown community. They think it's like,
No.
oh, it's just black people. I'm like, no, that's not true. Other people have the trait. It's just important to get that type of genetic testing. It's important to get it done.
And to talk about,
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
I think it was last
Mm-hmm.
year he was feeling pains in his body. He was
Yeah.
having these joint pains. He couldn't explain the pains. And he went for testing, because his doctor couldn't explain
Mm-hmm.
why he was having these joint pains. He has a sickle cell trait. I had no idea. And for me, I'm like, I don't even know if I had a trait or not. So it was important for us to
Yes.
find out if we had a trait.
Mhm.
Because I'm like, oh my God, if I have the sickle cell trait and you have the sickle cell trait, oh my goodness, we had no idea.
Yeah, yeah, and people that have the trait can get some of the symptoms that
Yes.
someone with sickle cell disease has, especially like joint pain, asthma, things like that.
So could you tell us some things about the symptoms that your daughter has experienced?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, every time within the first year, every time she had a vaccine, we had to take her in, just because they wanted to make sure that it wasn't an infection, even though we probably knew it was the vaccines. We had to make sure that it was not an infection. And so for the first 5 years of her life, she took penicillin. So penicillin, it's a broad spectrum antibiotic, for lack of better words, that covers anything. So she was kind of covered, even though she still got sick during that time, she was kind of covered. And so this past December, she had her first sickle cell crisis, which was really scary because we did not know what was going on. She just had an extreme amount of pain in her legs, and it was only her legs. And my first thought was, okay, isn't it supposed to be all over her body? And I was like, well, I didn't realize that it could be targeted based off if her sickle cells were clumping together and she was having those pains in her leg. Like, she couldn't even
Wow.
walk. It was extremely hard. She had to go to the hospital. She was in the hospital for a few days, and then we decided that, hey, let's bring her home. Let's recover her home. But I mean, it's very hard to just see your child in that much pain. She's 6 now, so she could communicate that, hey, my legs are hurting. Like, I can't walk to the bathroom, and, just little simple things. So that's really, really hard for a child. And it's hard that there really isn't anything to deal with the pain except for basically narcotics. Like, there's nothing to deal with the pain, and only someone that has sickle cell knows the pain that they're in. So my job as a parent is to advocate, make sure she knows how to advocate for her body. And if she's had enough at that moment, then I'm sorry, you have to come back because she said she's had enough. Give her a break, and we'll resume, in a few minutes or an hour or so. So it's important. It's important. It's a lot.
It is
It's a lot.
heavy.
Yeah.
It is a lot,
Yeah.
seeing your child in pain, and
Mm-hmm.
not sometimes you want to take their pain away. You want
Yeah.
to experience the pain. You want, you don't want them to feel pain. And to have to explain, how do you explain to her about her genetic condition? What do you tell her?
I just told her that her blood is a little bit different. that she has to drink water, make sure she eats her vegetables. I said your body's gonna hurt sometimes, and it's okay if it hurts. You can always call us. Don't ever let anyone tell you that you cannot call us. You're at school, you can always talk to us, no matter what. And so I just told her her blood is a little bit different. She has to take different precautions, but we're still gonna live life. If you want to do something, we're gonna do it. We're gonna figure out how we can help your body do this task. Like, she loves dance, so she loves ballet. And so I'm like, we can do ballet. That's fine. We're going to make sure we stretch. We're going to make sure we have water. We're going to make sure we eat our vegetables, take our vitamins. So these things are going to help you and your body be strong. She's like, okay. I'm like, this is how we're going to do it. This is what you're going to know growing up so you can know how to take care of yourself.
Well, you just jumped right into my next question.
Oh.
Because I was like, how do you maintain normalcy for your child during dealing with sickle cell? How do you maintain? And you went in and you don't allow her sickle cell diagnosis to define her. You allow her to live. You allow her, what would you say to a parent that's dealing with the initial diagnosis of a child? You're pregnant with a child and they're being told that their child has sickle cell. What would you tell that parent?
Really, this is something that my mother-in-law told me. Lonnie was 2 months old when she got her diagnosis, and we happened to be at her house. And she told me that, she said, remember, Grace, she said, God loved you so much and trusted you so much that he gave you this child to raise. So remember that as you're going through all of these emotions, all of these things, that God trusted you with his child so much that you can do this. You can take care of this child that Jesus has given you. So I hold on to that very, very closely, because I'm like, I can do this. Jesus gave me her for a reason. She's going to live her life. We're going to do it together. We're going to figure it out. And if someone is not religious, I say find a community. Find a community of other parents that are going through the same thing. You don't have to take all of their advice straight on, but it's something for you to think about. They may have resources for you. It's important to have a community when your child has any kind of condition. Definitely.
Now that was heavy. It's heavy because, as you said, Jesus gave you that baby. I think of my son, and I think of other parents that's dealing with a special needs child, and when you think of the journey that you have to go through with that child, and you're asking God, because I know for me, I was like, God, why me? Why am I going through this? Why my child? You're questioning God, and then you have to go back to God, and you have to apologize sometimes, saying, why not me? Why not me? Because here you go, taking on the journey that he wanted you to go on. Because this wasn't out there. There was no resource out there for parents and children dealing with sickle cell. I Googled it. I didn't see any books out there that looked like me. And here you are. He took you on a mission. Now he has changed the trajectory of what you thought you were getting into. You understand me? So now God has changed what you thought, what you thought you were getting into. And he has changed everything. Now you have a mission. You have a mission to advocate, not just for your child, but for other kids, other families, letting them know it's okay. You're going to have different days. You're going to have your good, you're going to have your bad days, but there is resources, there's support. There is someone out there with the information that you need. Now, he's taking you on another journey. Tell us about this journey. Like, it's changed, because here you think you're having, you're preparing to have this child. You're getting ready to have this child, and here is something else. You're like, oh my God, I didn't, you're not expecting this. You're not like, okay, we're not expecting an autistic child. We're not expecting a CP, something to go wrong during our labor or something. And here it is, God has changed everything. What has that done for you? Like, how do you look at things? How does it let you push on? And now that you're developing books and you're developing series, tell us, what has this journey, how has it changed?
I think
formulated.
I think it's definitely interesting, because I'm a sports person, and I definitely thought my life was going in a different direction. But it's okay, it's fine. I think that this is something that I was meant to do. I didn't know that I was meant to do it, but it was something I was meant to do. And having her just made me realize I could basically do anything. I'm like, if she can be over here in pain, still push through, still want to go to school, still want to dance, then why can't I do anything too? And and people say, your kids make you realize different things about yourself. And she definitely makes me realize different things about myself. And I'm like, I can do anything. I'm like, my family's behind me, God's behind me, I can do anything. And then our youngest, I feel like she popped out of nowhere. I mean, I guess God had a plan because she wasn't playing, and I'm so thankful because I wanted all boys. I don't know. I didn't want to do no hair. I'm be honest, I did not want to do hair. But here she came along, they're like 2.5, almost 2.5 years apart. And I said, I'm so thankful that she has a sister. Because as they're growing up, 2.5 years apart, she's like, oh, where's Alllrighty? Is she okay? She's like, I'll help her. I'll bring her toy, or I'll bring her food or her water cup. And so I just love the fact that they have each other. I said, there's nothing like the sibling bond that they're building. And I want to nourish that relationship. And I want them to know that, hey, if you don't want to talk to mom, then you can talk to each other. If you're in pain and you don't want to talk to, your parents, then you can talk to your little sister and, just really help their relationship build.
Kaylana said she didn't want to do hair. Look at us.
I know. Oh my goodness, hair. Oh my goodness.
Listen, the natural hair has really got us going.
That's so funny. It's true. It's true. I said, okay, yeah, this is what it is. This is what happened, and I'm thankful.
Well, girl, you're doing hair. I see that you have a little nail polish thing going on too. You have a nail polish company.
and that company technically belongs to Alllrighty, because I wanted her to know that no matter what she has going on, that she can do things for herself. If you want to be a businesswoman while we have other things going on, you can do that. That is perfectly fine. So I wanted to teach her as she grows older, because we don't know what the future looks like for her. And, a lot of people were sending me the article that came out like a couple of weeks ago. It was around the same time. And I was like, I do appreciate the article. However, when she floats in the middle, like she's not the severest case and she's not the lightest case, they're not really quick to get to those sickle cell warriors because she's not severe enough, or it's too light. So she's just kind of floating in the middle, and getting a bone marrow transplant, basically doing stem cell, that could take a lot out of a kid. So there are just a lot of decisions that have to be made as we, continue and as she grows and things like that, to see what will be the best option for her.
It's a lot. Yeah. I saw that research that came out, and I'm like, oh my God. Mm-hmm. I was appreciative of it because it's new and they're focusing on it, finally giving sickle cell some kind of focus.
Yes.
But then it's like, it's a lot. It's a lot for parents to undertake. It's a lot, I just pray that they continue to have breakthroughs that parents can really use and utilize. So what's next for you, Grace? What is next? What is next? You do your doula. You do so much. Like, what is next for you, Grace?
I am hoping, because it was supposed to happen last year, but that was just not in God's time. I'm hoping to have another book out this year that just talks about sickle cell and goes just a little more in depth. I'm hoping to have that book out this year. And I'm just going to continue writing. I mean, I'm going to write till I can't write anymore. I'm just going to continue writing, If it's on my heart, I have a little notebook that I keep with me wherever I go. Something pops in my head, just jot it down, save it for later. And it'll all come together. So I'm going to continue to do that. I'm going to continue I do ADA compliancy work, so the Americans with Disabilities Act. I do that work for the city that I'm in. So I've enjoyed doing that, just making sure that things are compliant for people in wheelchairs and just anyone that needs the extra help. And it's nice to see so many citizens come forward and say, hey, we would like to see this, this, and this in the community. I said, okay, let's work on it. Let's get it done. Let's make sure all the buses are accessible and all of the public buildings and things like that. So it's, it's moving. It's moving.
I think all the different things that you have talked about has prepared you for that moment. Because being a veteran, I know my brother's a veteran. I'm like, those things prepare you for this that you're telling us about. Now, when we think about Monday, when we're celebrating Martin Luther King, how do you feel that you're walking in his dream? how do you feel that you're accomplishing his dream? You know, I thought about it, the questions, and I was like, wow, it is Martin Luther King. How are we really walking in his dream and his vision for us? How are you doing that?
You know, when it comes to everyone being together and everyone being judged by the content of their character and not by the color of their skin, I think about that in a disability world as well. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like anyone that has a disability, no matter whether it's visible or not visible, everyone should be treated the same.
Mm-hmm.
They should still be afforded the same opportunities. They should
Mm-hmm.
be treated the same. And if they have a limit, or if you see they have a limit, then you can give them a reasonable accommodation to complete whatever task or do whatever it is they want to do. But do not limit them based off of what you see or what you think you may know. Get to know the person.
Yes.
Never judge a book by its cover.
Yes.
Never judge a book by its cover. Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Yes.
Definitely, because we are doing this inclusion because we want everyone to really understand our
Yes.
children, to know that they want to play, they
Yeah.
want to be included,
Yeah.
you know, they want to be involved. They may play differently, they may
Right.
stim,
Right.
you know, they may act differently, they may have assisted devices,
Yeah.
you know, they may have a genetic disorder, but it doesn't mean they don't want to be
And
involved
one
in things. And
they're going to be adults, and we want them to be functioning adults as much as they can be. So we need, so as they grow up, y'all need to know X, Y, Z, because they're going to be adults in society as well. So I'm like, start now. Start
yes.
now. Start by talking to your kids. Start by teaching your kids. If a child says, "Oh, what, mommy, why is the person in a wheelchair?" Because we all know that kids are they speak loud.
Yes.
Everyone can hear them. Go ahead and say, "Oh, well, baby, you know, if you want to go talk to them, you can," or maybe they've had an accident or something like that. Explain to them so they grow up knowing that the world is going to be different. People are different, and that's okay. That's what makes us us. That's what makes us unique.
It's important as parents to talk about it,
Yes.
to address
Absolutely.
their concerns,
Absolutely.
to have
Yes.
those open conversations.
Yeah.
You see a child in a wheelchair, and sometimes you're like, "Oh, don't say anything," but it's important in order to bring inclusive.
Answer those questions.
Answer those questions.
Yes.
Well,
Yes.
do you want to find out why he's in a wheelchair? Do you want to say hello? You know, for us, our monthly subscription box is so important to highlight these different amazing kids, you know, because I want other parents, when parents ask me, well, maybe is this box is only for children with disability? I'm like, no, this box is for everyone.
Right.
We're teaching, we want inclusion. Right. So in order for you to have inclusion, you have to learn about it. You have to read about it. You have to talk about it. So these are conversation starters. You know, these are conversation starters that we need in our home. We need in our schools. We need in our library. We need it in our community because we need to have those conversations. Oftentimes, we don't have these conversations. Everyone is seeing that child in a wheelchair and they want to know what happened. How can we help? What do you need us to do? And we don't have the conversation because either we feel like we're going to offend someone, or you don't know how to start on it, or you don't know how that person is going to react. Yes, as a parent that has a child with it, it's emotional, it's heavy.
Yeah.
It is heavy. And it's oftentimes we're lonely, you know, in our thought process. You're lonely wondering what's going to happen to your child. You're lonely wondering what's going to happen if something happens to me. You're lonely in that thought, you know. You're not sleeping at night. You know, you're wondering so much. It's heavy. It's heavy. It weighs heavy on you. And it's important for us to have a world that accepts them, a world that understands them, that allows them to live and you know, yes, they behave a different way, but that doesn't mean that they can't be loved and they can't be included. And I just, you know, I just appreciate, you know, last year I've met so many, so many books we have now that talk, you know, I'm in awe. I'm gonna get emotional, but I'm in awe that we have these resources out there for parents. You know, 16 years ago, this was nowhere to be found. We didn't have this. So you continue to write, Grace. I'm looking forward. You know, the hospital, they're asking me, I already told them, I said, she coming out with a book just on that. I was like, she is, let us know when that book drop. I said, okay. You know, I said, if you need her to read virtually, she can read the book virtually. You know, I just can't wait. I can't wait for your next book. Let me see if I've missed anything.
I was gonna say, I want people to remember that, children, and this is not like just about race, but children are not born with a bias, but they gain a bias by us not discussing things with them.
Yes.
And that's in the disability world as well. You gain a bias by not talking about these things, about how people are different, about
Yes.
how people can have this condition or that condition or disability. And it's just so important to start early. It's just so
Yes.
important to start early. Like you said, it's not just for parents and children that have disabilities or conditions. It's for everyone.
Yes.
It's for everyone. I mean, knowledge. We need to gain the knowledge. Knowledge is power, right?
Yes.
So
We need
make
the
sure we start at
information.
home.
Oh,
Yeah.
you
Definitely
hit the
start at
nail.
home.
You hit the nail because yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And listen, we shouldn't be afraid to talk about it. It is so important to have the information. And for us as parents, if a child says something, it's okay for us, if we don't know it, to look it up.
That's true.
Look it up.
We can look up anything these days. Anything. We can look it up. Look it up.
Look it up. Ask questions for your kids. Don't leave them there not knowing the answer. It is important as parents to navigate, to give them good information.
That's right.
I know for me, we started writing our books because I was tired of seeing parents laughing at my son while he's playing soccer. He's stimming. He's having a stimming moment. He doesn't like fireflies. He doesn't like anything that flies. He was good at soccer. He could kick that ball and make the goal, but once everything environmental came, he was out of there. But instead of you telling your child that something is going on, he's good at soccer, something is wrong. Instead, you join in laughing at him. And I was like, no, this can't be the world that my kids are growing up in.
Right.
This can't be the world that there's no empathy,
Mm-hmm.
there's no understanding, and no one to say, no, that's not nice. Let's not behave this way. So we had to go out there and give parents the information. Like, you see a child stimming, you see a child rubbing their foot because they're having joint pains, you see a child in a wheelchair. All of these things, it's a conversation. It's not nothing to laugh at. It's serious.
Right.
It really is serious, and it's important for us to talk about it. And I just thank you. Where can we find your books? Where can we find, and Grace, we're looking out for your book. Your upcoming. I'm looking out. That was the first one I was looking.
You can find my book on my website, arthurgraceholloman.com, and it's also on like Amazon and Target. You can find it there as well online. Yes.
And we're still, as I said, Humble Works is still doing donations of Grace's book.
Braver Than I May Know.
Braver Than I May Know. We're still doing our subscription box. People are still purchasing it. I actually just called the hospital, send them an email, say, hey, we got 2 more boxes today. Could I just mail it out to you? So people are still donating boxes. If you would like to donate a sickle cell box to our hospital, please reach out to us. Reach out to the Amazingly Sensational Kids. You can reach out to our TAJ subscription box. You can see us on our Shopify site as well. We will put the link in our bio and tell you where you can get this amazing book. And as Grace says, she's coming out with a book that's just on sickle cell.
Oh yeah.
So we are excited, and we can't wait. Yes. We can't wait. Thank you so much.
Of course, thank you. I mean, I appreciate what y'all are doing. I love the box. I love the boxes. It's an amazing idea, y'all. You gotta get one. She does all up. It's done all up. You will love it. Love it. So I appreciate what y'all are doing. I appreciate all of your work, even at the expos. They take your book to expos, y'all. Okay.
Listen, let me tell you, if you are vending with TAJ and we have your book, if we're going to an expo, you're going to an expo.
Yes.
Once we have decided that we're advertising, we're anywhere TAJ is going, you as our vendor, we are supporting you. Yeah. We are making sure you're getting out there as well. That is what it's about. Yeah. That community that you're talking about with authors and subscription boxes and awareness, that is important. It is. Us supporting each other and building a community, that is important. I'm so glad to meet all these wonderful authors.
I know. I love it so much.
I loving
didn't know it was going to be like this. I guess it's been like maybe a year and a half or so. And I'm like, this is great. I met so many people. I'm like, can you imagine if we like all got together one day? I was like, I love it. I love the author community. Yeah.
Like, we got to do a trip. We got to do
I
a
love it.
convention. We got to do something because I'm loving this. I'm loving this information. I'm loving that we're supporting each other. I'm loving being informed. I'm loving the representation. I'm
Oh,
just
yeah.
in love with this whole thing. And, for us, we're excited about our boxes. We're like, oh my God. For me, I
Yes.
think of all these different things. My husband's like, what you going to put? How many stuff you going to put in the box? And I'm like, I just can't help it.
All of it.
I
All
go
of it.
crazy.
All of it.
I go crazy. And he's like, okay, Tracy, you got to narrow it down. So I'm going to try to. But I try. Listen, because for months in advance, I'm reaching out to different vendors to figure out what's going to go into the box. And it's sometimes very hard for me to choose. I'm like, oh, but I want. My husband's like, cut it out. Choose. But you know what? We want to represent. So anyhow, you want to be a vendor with TAJ, reach out to us. If you have a book, if you have a t-shirt, whatever it is, you can reach out to us. Trust me, we're going to promote you.